What Mansa Musa is most famous for is his pilgrimage where he goes to Mecca. So, every Muslim in their life is supposed to make one trip to Mecca. He is the king of Mali. Should this be possible? Yeah. In fact, he has so much gold that when they did a study, and it was last year, a couple sources did it, and they were like, who is the richest person in the world of all time? Not right now, but of all time. You know, Bill Gates made the list, but he was like number 15, number 20. Mansa Musa was number 1 as the richest person of all time. Now, why would Mansa Musa be the richest of all time? What do you have control of? All the gold in the Mali Empire. Technically, as the king, he owned it all. So, how much gold did he have? Well, when he makes his trip to Mecca, he makes his Hajj to Mecca, he brings 60,000 people with him. So he doesn't just bring a couple people with him. He brings 60,000 people with him on the trip through the desert. And they're all carrying, it says 3 kilograms of gold. That comes out to about 7 pounds, about. So if you have 60,000 all carrying 7 pounds of gold with them, we can estimate somewhere around 400,000 pounds of gold made this trip from our sources. 400,000 pounds of gold. Can't even imagine what that would look like. So he brings that with him to Mecca, and let's go take a look at the map of the Hajj. Let me see. And this Hajj has been documented in history time and time and time again, and all the accounts say one thing, that on the way back from Mecca, they started giving away this gold. That people learned to follow him and to collect gold. And there are many, many accounts in history of this happening. So, why would he give all this gold after going on a Hajj to Mecca? Student in the back? Unnamed student, yes? No, that one.
Because it's part of the religion that they have to give away their earnings.
Yeah. It's called the zakat. They have to give away. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam that you have to give away to the poor. By the way, 5 pillars of Islam, one of your blog question, due on Friday. Yes?
Isn't that like a till or a guild, like in the Catholic Church?
Say it again?
Like when
Tithe. A lot of churches follow the 10% tithe. Catholic Church, it's between you and God pretty much. But a lot of churches follow like a 10% tithe. You're supposed to give away 10% of your money. A lot of churches follow that. So what happens is as he comes back, he gives away the gold. He gives away so much gold that what happens to the value of gold goes down considerably. In the Ghana Empire and all the rulers before him, they controlled how much gold they would trade. Why? Kept prices up, kept it valuable. Now you got a guy giving away what looks like to be nearly 500,000 tons of gold. Is it scarce?
Nope.
It's not that valuable anymore. It loses a lot of its value. Now it comes back. But for years and years, the value of gold goes down because of this Hajj. And again, this has been documented in history numerous times. In the city of Cairo, the value of gold, it took something like 20 to 50 years for it to go back to its original value because of this Hajj. Now it's good in some ways because he gives things away, and a lot of poor people who didn't have gold now have it. But it'd also be like if I gave everyone in America $1 million. Yeah, that sounds great until you go to buy lunch. And suddenly lunch doesn't cost $5. Now lunch costs $5,000. So prices go up. So that's what happens on his Hajj, and it actually leads to a weakening in the empire. We're going to do one more slide, and then we're going to compare and case. No, not that one.
So don't you have to pay the same, proportionally?
Well, what it would do is it'd be good for the poor because the rich would lose their fortunes because their fortunes suddenly aren't worth as much. It would be better for the poor, but it wasn't good for Mali because it didn't help their trade. If you were a gold trader in Mali, How would you feel about this? So now I could get this much salt or this much other valuables. Can I get that now for my gold? No, I got to give away a lot more gold to get things. Let's move on to our decline and fall of Mali. Last slide for today. The decline and fall of Mali. We will have another comparing case soon. So he makes his Hajj in 1325. And Mali is a very strong empire in 1325 when he makes his Hajj. But we see a gradual decline of the empire, especially in the 1400s. In the 1400s, the empire of Mali goes down significantly. There are a lot of weak rulers who follow Mansa Musa. Many of them are corrupt. Many of them are more interested in, they see, well, Mansa Musa built something, I'm going to build something too. Not as focused on the military. Not as focused on protecting the gold mines. So what happens is, it's not like Mali gets destroyed by an invading army. Mali gets destroyed by raids. It's more like they die of paper cuts or mosquitoes. Constant little like raids come in and people start taking the gold. Why? Because that's where it is. And after Mansa Musa makes this pilgrimage, what does everybody around the world now know? Stories get out about there's a crazy amount of gold in this place. Here's where it gets real dark. 100 years later, slave ships will start coming to Western Africa. What are they looking for at first?
Slaves.
Gold. One of the colonies is called the Gold Coast. Let's keep on going. So neighboring groups come in and they start robbing the gold. And what happens is the local, the Mansas, the local leaders, the local kings, who are like nobles underneath Mansa Musa and the other leaders, they start taking a little more power for themselves. They start not turning over all their taxes, but keeping part of it. And what happens is one in particular becomes strong. We see the city of Gao here, and you see how it's kind of at the edge of the Mali Empire? Well, the people from Gao don't really want to be a part of Mali. I mean, they will be part of Mali as long as they have to. But if they can rise up and have their own power, they want it. So the people of Gao start rising up, and after a while, it's like, you know what? No, we're not going to pay our taxes. In fact, we're just going to keep our gold mines. Why don't you come get it? And what happens is the empire of Mali is not strong enough to stop them. We're going to learn more about that tomorrow when we talk about a few other leaders. But let's stop right there, just knowing that corrupt leaders cause the fall. And eventually, between raids from the outside, people taking the gold, and also the rise of Gao, which will be the Songhai Empire, we see Mali falls and is replaced by the Songhai.